I'm Ellie Hutterli from Switzerland, 23 years old. I am from the German-speaking part of Switzerland, and I'm currently the UN Youth Delegate of Switzerland. And I have a local youth parliament that I founded together with friends, and that I'm also the co-president of at the moment. I mean, getting involved in the first place is always a big hurdle, I think, for these spaces to really open up for youth and also to have the resources to do it in a meaningful way. I think very often what we experience is that we're asked to maybe write a short statement, but then we never really hear back from it and we don't really know how it's incorporated. So for us, one thing is always we want to be included in a way where we are included over time, where we are not only maybe included by contributing certain statements, but really also within discussions. And I think another big part is that we also get the knowledge and the data, the science, all these things to even be able to contribute in a meaningful way, because I think it's also important for young people to be involved, even if they're not experts in a field. I mean, it also connects to the first point, like having a fair policies is always about inclusion in creating these policies. So again, definitely like having meaningful inclusions and having systematic inclusion. And I think, again, looking at young people, I think even though they might not be experts, they have a really good understanding of what is needed and what kind of human rights we are striving for, and we are striving for higher standards. So I think that would be one point, is really to have more policies based on human rights for the digital space. I think Switzerland generally, compared to other countries, has very good education, and we're also reforming it all the time. And so one big thing that they introduced is informatics class, for example, but at the end of the day, what we learned is to type with our fingers, like with the 10-finger system, and we didn't really learn anything about how to handle the internet, how to handle interactions on social media, you know, our privacy, all these things, again, like how data flows, the dangers just of the internet of data. We didn't learn anything about that, and I think we need to focus more on also providing life skills, not only for the job market, but I think also just for ourselves and for our own safety. And that's generally something that is missing from schools, and I think it goes hand in hand with the missing like political and financial education. And I think we need to be able to be more emancipated in a way in our lives. So, I mean, the content we see, I think, definitely affects our mental health. And I think what is so complex about it is very often, I think, it affects it negatively and positively at the same time. I think there's always a lot of emotions, and also the content online is so fast-paced that you go from a happy video to a sad video. And since the content that you see online, especially on social media, is so highly personalized, usually it's about people for a certain audience. I think it really, it affects you in the way that you think also about yourself a lot. And I think on one hand, it can help you to really self-improve, but I think on the other hand, it can also really make you lose touch with reality and your sense of self. And I think the audience is getting younger and younger, and I think the younger you are, the more perceptible you are to these things. And I think overall, how I observe it with other youth and myself, I would say at the end of the day, it mostly affects your mental health negatively, because negative things way heavier than positive things. They stick with you longer than the positive things. Yeah, and I think one part that needs to be done is, again, I think more awareness around mental health in general. And then, of course, I think also for parents, teachers, to be more educated on mental health, on social media, on the internet, and its dangers, and then to give that knowledge to the children. And then again, what I said before, when it comes to policymakers, to have stronger human base laws. And I think one part is, of course, disinformation, which also has a big impact on mental health. And then the other part is, again, just generally like, for example, cyberbullying, and just general content management. I think also that there need to be stronger instruments to hold private companies accountable and really make them have better internal policies that really, at the end of the day, serve their customers and not only profit from them, and also partially profit from them suffering from mental health issues. I think my final message would be that I know as a young person it very often feels like frustrating that I think these issues are not taken like seriously enough or not discussed enough, or again you think to yourself, oh, I can contribute because I don't know a lot about it. And I think there would say like really carry it to your teachers and tell them, I think we're missing a lot of knowledge there, and we're missing, I think a lot of education around this. If there's a possibility to like open up this space, because I think over time, if you keep asking to be educated on something, and if you keep showing like the lack of spaces to discuss something, then these will be created. And also don't be scared to create them yourselves, like to come together with friends and maybe have a discussion on these topics, or even write a mail to policymakers or to teachers. And I think that is something like you shouldn't be scared to take action.